Good evening, councillors. Councillor said, before I open the meeting, can I just confirm you're online? Perhaps? Anyway, all good. I open the Governance Advisory Committee on the 10th of March at 6:45. Could I please ask Councillor Martin to read the acknowledgement of country?
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the land of the Bidjigal and Gadigal peoples who occupied the Sydney coast, being the traditional owners. On behalf of Randwick City Council, I acknowledge and pay my respects to the elders past and present and to the Aboriginal people in attendance today.
Thank you. Councillor Asghari, could you please read the prayer?
Thank you. Almighty God, we humbly beseech you to bestow your blessings upon this council and to direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement of your glory and the true welfare of the people of the city of Randwick and Australia. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. I will now read the extensive chairperson's announcement. In accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice, I can advise that this meeting is being live streamed via Council's website and a person's image and or voice may be broadcast. The live stream recording will be published on Council's website for at least 12 months after the meeting or for the balance of the Council's term, whichever is the longer of the two. Attendance at the meeting is taken as consent by a person to their image and or voice being live streamed. All present should refrain from making any defamatory comments or releasing any personal information about another individual without their consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from defamatory comments made by persons attending this meeting. All liability will rest with the individual who made the comments. This meeting must not be live streamed or recorded by others without the prior written consent of Council. I note that it is publicly available. Individuals acting in a disorderly manner can be asked and will be asked by the chairperson to leave the meeting. Do I have any apologies? I have an apology from Councillor Hamilton, an apology from Councillor Rosenfeld, as well as, can I please have somebody move the apologies? Moved Councillor Martin, seconded Councillor Burst. I have received a request to join the meeting all that carried, thank you. I have received a request from Councillor Said to attend tonight's meeting by audio-visual link. Could I please have somebody move his request? Moved Councillor Burst, seconded by Councillor Wilson. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Can I please have somebody confirm the minutes of the Governance Advisory Committee on the 10th of February 2026? Confirmed by Councillor Asghari, seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. We now move to declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interest. Councillors, are there any declarations? There being no declarations, please reminder that you can make a declaration at any point during the meeting. Okay, I will now move to the first item on the Governance Advisory Committee business paper, GAC/26, Draft Social Cohesion Plan. Can I please have somebody move to read and note the report? Moved Councillor Luxford, seconded Councillor Magna. Thank you. I will ask the first question. Could I please ask the relevant officer to elaborate on the report? Councillors, as they approach the microphone, I will let them give their presentation and elaborate on their answer. I will then go to questions. I'll take them in the order that they're received. If at any point, just raise your hand and I'll take a note. I'll come to all questions after they've made their presentation. Director, Manager of Community Development.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. I'm Trina Soulos, Manager of Community Development. Going to talk about the Social Cohesion Plan this evening. In February of 2022, Council adopted the Inclusive Randwick Strategy. Section 1.1 of this informing strategy outlines a commitment, thank you, Section 1.1 of this strategy outlines a commitment to develop a series of community plans to address the diverse needs of our population, including culturally and linguistically diverse communities. Objective A 22.1 of the delivery program commits to progressing this work. Council's operational plan of 2024 cited the drafting of the multicultural plan, and as this work progressed, the adoption of a social cohesion framework was shown to provide stronger alignment to the frameworks of other governments and to better reflect contemporary research and literature. Subsequently, the name and scope of the plan was changed to social cohesion plan in the operational plan of the following year, being 2025. At the ordinary council meeting in March 2025, council resolved to note the development of a social cohesion plan. In September 2025, councillors were briefed on the development of the social cohesion plan, including the adopted frameworks. More recently, at the last council meeting, being February of 2026, council resolved to affirm civic standards, community safety, and the condemnation of hate-based anti-Semitic intimidation. This presentation to the Governance Advisory Committee serves as an update of this work. As a local government organisation, we have the responsibility to shape the conditions for community wellbeing, safety. Oh, thank you, Katie. Thank you. Thank you. The conditions for community wellbeing, safety, and to foster a sense of belonging. This plan is designed to help guide how we work alongside of community to do this. So while the term social cohesion is widely used at the moment, when we talk about social cohesion in this context, we're talking about the conditions that help people feel a part of their community. The core concepts that cut through the literature, the research, and across all frameworks reviewed are connection, inclusion, belonging, and participation. Connection refers to the everyday relationships and interactions people have in their neighbourhoods, and this shows up in Randwick City in the places where people meet, like at our beaches, libraries and playgrounds. Inclusion is about whether people feel respected, safe and able to take part in community life without barriers. And this is the best example of this is our strategic work with police, the Department of Premier and Cabinet, Multicultural New South Wales, and this work is to address racism and discrimination. Belonging is that deeper sense of feeling at home in one's community, and you see this in high levels of participation in long-standing community traditions like the Spot Festival, Coogee Carols, and in cultural celebrations like at Lunar New Year more recently. Belonging also shows up in place pride and the pride people feel about being from a neighbourhood or a suburb in Randwick City. And participation is about having opportunities to get involved in programs, events and decision making. This is seen in high levels of engagements in Have Your Say consultation. This is seen when community members put their names forward to be a part of community advisory committees. And the high levels of volunteerism we note in Randwick City is also a great example of participation, both with council services and programs and also in the not-for-profit community sectors. Together, when you put these four concepts together, these elements help describe what social cohesion looks like in practice in Randwick City. These aren't abstract ideas, but things that people experience and things that people do in their everyday lives. Research shows that when people feel connected, they have a strong sense of belonging, they're more likely to feel satisfied with life and more engaged with their community. And when it's weak, people feel excluded, unsafe or disconnected. It affects well-being, participation and diminishes community trust. Strengthening social cohesion is foundational to building a healthy, inclusive and resilient Randwick City. Council plays a unique role in shaping the conditions for social cohesion because as a local government organisation, we influence the places, services and interactions people have in their everyday lives. The plan articulates Council's role in building the conditions for cohesion as to connect people and groups through programs, events and networks, to create inclusive places and amenity, to facilitate access to information and services, to support community voice and ensure pathways to decision making, to advocate on issues affecting residents and groups, and to collaborate to improve equity and wellbeing. This plan is informed by a comprehensive review of broader policy and the service context, also an analysis of Randwick community's profile and demographic trends. Community and stakeholder engagement has reached approximately 600 individuals to date, and this is through a variety of methods, including pop-ups and survey, workshops with key service providers, stakeholders and community organisations, workshops with the Cultural Diversity and Equity Community Advisory Committee, and also with council teams assigned draft actions by the plan. We have hosted 2 forums, one focused specifically on social cohesion and another among young people, where we asked questions that addressed social cohesion. As well as this, we've hosted targeted stakeholder one-on-one interviews with Eastern Beaches Police, with Multicultural New South Wales, with the Department of Premier and Cabinet, with community services, community and faith leaders, including rabbis and an academic also. An interim engagement report is drafted for councillors and the community to review alongside of the draft plan. In summary, the consultation insights drawn from these processes are that everyday connection through shared spaces is central to social cohesion, with Randwick's beaches, parks, libraries, community centres and hubs being the backdrop and central to this. Belonging and inclusion, however, is not experienced equally across Randwick City, and in particular residents from diverse cultural, linguistic or faith backgrounds and those with intersecting identities often report greater barriers to participation. Discrimination, racism and anti-Semitism are noted as concerns by community. During consultation, these are called out as behaviours or beliefs that undermine social cohesion and impact people's sense of safety, trust and a sense of connection. Language and communication barriers exist, and particularly for those of non-English speaking backgrounds. As well, housing stress, cost of living pressures and access to health and mental health services are noted to contribute to social and cultural isolation, insecurity and reduced well-being. Place-based disadvantage exists, with some suburbs experiencing poorer access to services, facilities and connection opportunities. This highlights the need for more localised and place-based supports or responses. And there's a strong appetite for inclusive multicultural place-based events that celebrate diversity, that support intercultural understanding and learning, and create a shared sense of experience in our community. Communities want stronger voice in decision-making, with inclusive engagement practices adopted, and importantly, strong partnerships and a whole-of-council approach to progressing this work are seen as critical. The draft plan is built around 3 guiding principles, and these are belonging and connection, equity and access, and voice and representation. These are the 3 yellow boxes you see on the top of the screen. These 3 principles underpin the 6 pillars of the plan, which form the structure of the plan. The pillars are drawn directly from the New South Wales Department of Premier and Cabinet's 2022 Building Social Cohesion in Our Communities framework that was designed specifically for local government organisations. Pillar 1 is civic engagement and participation, and it's very much about strengthening the pathways for people to participate and provide feedback to council. The second pillar is social and cultural inclusion, and it's about celebrating diversity and ensuring people feel safe, respected and included in Randwick City. The third pillar is leadership, strategy and planning, and that's about embedding cohesion into our policies and systems. The fourth pillar is about ensuring our public spaces are welcoming, inclusive, and that they support connection between residents. The fifth pillar is about how we partner and create networks. And the sixth pillar is about tracking and monitoring progress through measurable action. Each of these pillars in the draft plan includes actions, a time frame, some indicators of success or indicators of progress, and also allocates a council team responsible for delivering and reporting. There are 2 risks identified with this plan, the first one being that recent anti-Semitic events are likely to influence communities' expectation of the plan. The adoption of a comprehensive scoping and engagement process has helped mitigate this. Also, we recognise that recent events do require us to consider actions that sit on the edges or somewhat outside of your more typical social cohesion plans. So, councillors, you will note that there are actions to address racism and anti-Semitism in the plan. Also, during the development of this draft, we've remained close to our counterpart local government organisations and to New South Wales government agencies. And this includes participation in the Bondi Community Wellbeing Subcommittee that was recently stood up. Another risk identified is the potential for a limited or skewed interpretation of social cohesion concepts and terms used. The plan addresses this through the provision of definitions and key concepts. During the exhibition period, council officers will be monitoring sentiment and any feedback received on the name. The draft plan is prepared for the March meeting of council. With council's endorsement, the draft plan will be placed on public exhibition, and then the team will progress another round of quite targeted community engagement. Once feedback is considered and addressed, at this stage we're anticipating that'll be June of 2026. Council can expect a final draft presented with the aim of implementation commencing 1 July at this stage. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you. Very comprehensive. Councillors, are there any questions? Councillor Veitch.
Thank you for the presentation. Will the study be presented to the community as part of the consultation so everyone can read that detailed feedback?
Through the Mayor?
Yeah, please feel free.
Yes, Councillor Veitch. We're calling that an interim engagement report, and that will be presented alongside of the draft plan for community and councillors to review.
Thank you. Councillor Magna.
Thank you for the excellent work that I know you've been doing on this space, and I don't think there could be more important work at the moment given the fracturing that we've got in our community and around the world and this kind of work, so thank you for that. Do have a question about the place-based disadvantage exists. Do we have demographic data about where those disadvantages are in our community and what the gaps are in the services that we're delivering, or what the opportunities are, to reframe it more positively, and what the trends are in terms of those demographic? And because I noticed that there is the pillar about tracking and monitoring, so have we got a baseline, and is that integrated as part of the data plan? Thank you.
Trina.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Magna. A terrific question, very complicated question. Yet the study that Councillor Veitch inquired about previously does look at demographic data and behavioural and statistical trends across the LGA, suburb by suburb. The study calls on the CEFA index from ABS census data, and some of the in-depth consultations and workshops with service providers really drew out some of this information as well. That information is presented in the plan. Yes, we will be benchmarking. One of the actions is to create a baseline benchmark, and there are various indexes and self-evaluations that we can participate in to do that, and then we'll be monitoring over the 5-year term of the plan. Did I address all elements of your question? Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Wellington.
Thank you very much. A very detailed and helpful presentation. My question is about the connection between the social cohesion strategy plan with the reconciliation action plan. How will the two processes work in together and not duplicate one another, and be visible and comprehensible to the relevant community? Thank you.
Through the Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Wellington. The two plans are not in conflict with each other. I do see them as complementary. A lot of what we see in the RAP foreshadows or creates some of the foundational understanding for council officers to start to progress this work. It's interesting, the consultation report will highlight this as well. There's a lot of curiosity and interest for people of diverse cultural backgrounds, orientations, and with migration experiences to learn more about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community members and Australia's first cultures. That work is, and that intercultural exchange and opportunity for learning in and between cultures is very much present in the plan.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? There being no further questions, thank you very much for your excellent presentation, and I'm advised there is a huge amount of work which has gone into this, and so on behalf of all the council, we're very appreciative. Thank you. Thank you. Can I please have, actually, there being no further questions, I'll now put it. All those in favour that the social cohesion item be read and noted, all those in favour? All those against, declare that carried. Thank you. We now move to GAC 5/26, Greening Randwick. Can I please have a mover? Moved Councillor Veach, seconded Councillor Willington, that it be read and noted. The first question to the manager, could you please elaborate on your report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors, Mr Brownlee and directors. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you all tonight about our upcoming council report scheduled for March, titled Greening Randwick. The purpose of this... The purpose of this report is to provide council with a consolidated, cohesive and coordinated program for urban greening initiatives across Randwick, called the Greening Randwick Framework. This report has been generated through consultation and collaboration with the various departments and business units within council that play a role in the design, delivery and maintenance of council's green assets. The framework will consolidate all urban greening resolutions into a single Greening Randwick framework, provide a coordinated, scalable approach to greening initiatives and programs across the city, and ensure immediate actions are aligned with long-term strategy, funding opportunities and integrated planning. The focus of the framework is upon improving the environmental, social and visual outcomes of our city through urban greening. The framework will be realised through tree planting, streetscapes and verge gardens, biodiversity and habitat projects, water-sensitive urban design, green grids and connected corridors, and enhanced landscaping in streets, parks and public spaces. This slide identifies the specific resolutions that this approach is focused upon. The Greening Randwick Framework will consolidate these 7 resolutions into a single cohesive approach. The report looks at the specific resolutions and the specific actions that the Greening Randwick Framework will address. The next few slides will look at the way forward, focus on how we will implement the Greening Randwick Framework. Some of these actions are underway at present and some are being considered concurrently. From the following slides, there are a few key heads of consideration: in-street planting and priority sites through the Streetscapes program, canopy targets and climate resilience through the tree planting program, the governance with our strategies and policies, resourcing through our various resourcing strategies and approaches, and asset management, looking at our canopy feasibility studies. With any approach that council implements, there are risks. With the Greening Randwick Framework, there are several high-level risks that need to be considered. Strategically, without a unified framework and commensurate resources, there is a risk of duplication, inconsistent standards, or missed opportunities for synergy. Operationally, current planning efforts are focused on immediate rollouts, supported through the technical guidelines for urban planting. While these guidelines provide a solid foundation, long-term success depends on the development of a comprehensive spatial strategy. By aligning and consolidating immediate actions, with forward-looking framework through Council's Urban Forest Strategy Resilience Committee, Council can ensure continuity, scalability and measurable impact in its urban greening agenda. This report has been included in the March agenda for your considerations. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor Wellington.
Thank you very much for your very thoughtful work in putting this together. It was a time that I think really needed an overarching kind of framework to put all the pieces together. So it's very helpful and timely. Thank you. I will look forward to this coming to council at the next meeting. My question is, how do you see the opportunity for external players and interested parties such as university departments playing into this? So we had a very successful example of that with the Blythe Place Native Haven there, where the UTS Landscape Department were able to work in with the community and with council. Do you see that as a model that can find a place within the framework?
Oh, there's always opportunity. Sorry, I was supposed to wait for you. Sorry.
Please
Sorry.
don't apologise. Mr. Zammit.
No. Yeah, Councillor, of course, there's always opportunities for collaboration. Even in the development of this report, for example, there was collaboration across the entire council within different departments. So I was a big part of it, but also Eve's team, Ross. So that ability to collaborate with external or internal parties is critical for us to deliver, because everyone's got good ideas. And that one, the Blythe Place one's a prime example of, you know, a group of people getting together and creating a solution to a long-standing issue. And I think it's quite a successful little case study. So yeah, I would say yes, there's opportunities within that framework.
Thank you. Councillor Wellington.
And just an additional question. You mentioned the Resilience Committee in relation to this. What will be the overarching sort of governance framework for the framework, as it were? Like, how will the framework, the activity of the framework, be reported somewhere back to council? How will that work?
Through to the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Councillor Wellington, the results of the actions that are identified in the framework, there's a lot of synergies and crossovers, obviously, with the resilience strategy and the resilience, the actions will be reported through the strategy to the committee. So we'll report, as an example, the canopy targets and things like that will come to the committee to get an understanding of how we're travelling with all these things. So there's a lot of interconnection between this and the Resilience Committee.
Are there any further questions? Councillor Magna.
Ryan, thanks for the presentation and the work you and your team are doing in this area. As evidenced by the number of notices of motion, it's a topic that a number of us are very invested in, and I think the community has high expectations in relation to greening and green grid. What's the resourcing strategy, and have we got funding to support this? I noticed that we're relying on grants, but I'm just wondering if there's any further detail about how we're resourcing these plans.
Through to the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr. Mayor. So just in regards to the way forward, item 4 of the framework under resourcing just notes that the strategy needs to be, the 5-year strategy needs to be developed. We have rolling funds, obviously, that goes into Council's capital works and operational program year on year. We're utilising some of those funds from both last year and this year to tackle some major works, but just as we identify areas and key key areas within the city to be implemented in this coming year. We'll apply funding strategies year on year to make sure we're rolling out those tasks. So essentially we're going to develop a program of identified work areas throughout the LGA, water sensitive urban design projects. We've got a significant one in Maroubra that's on the books currently, but projects like that, town centre upgrades and activations, and the tree, 1,000 trees a year. So we're now in the process, from a resourcing perspective and an asset management perspective, identifying the areas, and that's a key immediate action, and then we'll apply funding to those actions year on year.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? There being no further questions, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you. Can I please have, okay, I'll now put the item. All those in favour, that it be read and noted. All those against, declare that carried. Thank you. We now go to GAC/626 Randwick Cycleway Projects Update. Thank you. Manager for everything. Please elaborate on your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the purpose of this presentation is to provide an update on our cycleway projects. There will also be a report coming to the March council meeting to provide further detail. Sorry. Thank you. In early 2015, Council reviewed the 2008 Randwick Bicycle Plan. The 2015 bicycle route construction priority identified 11 routes with community consultation informing the prioritisation that was developed. This was then subsequently endorsed by the Works Committee in late 2015. Council officers have been working towards the delivery of the top 5 of the 11 cycle routes identified in the 2015 prioritisation. This table just provides a summary of the status of each of those top 5 cycleways. I'll be providing further detail for the top 3 in the next few slides. However, before I move on, I'll just run through at a high level each of them. So Route 1 is the Anzac Bikeway North. Sections 1 and 2 of that cycleway were previously constructed by Transport for New South Wales, with Council receiving grant funding to progress with the design for Section 3. Route 2 is the Anzac Bikeway Midway A. Again, Council has received Transport for New South Wales grant funding to progress design there, and I'll provide more detail shortly. Cycle Route 3 is Todman Avenue and Lenthal Street, which is being considered in 2 sections, 3A and 3B, again with funding currently being allocated to progress the design. Route 4 is the South Coogee to Kingsford cycleway. Design is currently in progress for that cycleway, with funding received to progress the design in totality. However, we've also received construction funding to upgrade the intersection at Avoca, Sturt and Bundock. The design is well developed for that, and we're currently just awaiting Sydney Water approval for major works associated with a water main that's located at that intersection. And finally, we have the Coogee to Randwick and UNSW at Route 5, and again, we have design funding with route assessments currently underway for that section. So moving on for more detail on Route 1, which is Kingsford to Centennial Park. Concept design has been developed for this section. This would be the final outstanding link in the 2.8 kilometre link between Kingsford and Centennial Park. We intend to bring this concept to the March Council meeting to seek endorsement to progress to community consultation. The concept design also includes upgraded crossing facilities and footpath improvements. Next, we have Route 2, the Anzac Parade Pathways. So again, a concept plan is developed and ready for community consultation, subject to council endorsement. And again, this will be included in the upcoming report to council. Finally, Route 3, Todman Avenue walking and cycleway improvements. So this 2 kilometres of protected bicycle path between South Dowling Street and Doncaster Avenue and on Lenthal to provide a safe connection between Randwick and the City of Sydney. Concept plans have also been prepared for this route and again will be provided through the March report to Council seeking endorsement to progress to community consultation. So in terms of next steps, as I've mentioned, the report to the upcoming meeting will be seeking endorsement to progress to community consultation for routes 1, 2 and 3. We will also be seeking to an update on the in relation to the Cycling and Bicycle Facilities Advisory Committee, with the requirement with the minutes, we'll be looking to seek approval to treat the minutes the same way that the local transport forum minutes are treated, where they just are posted online following the meeting. Separately to the report to council, during this year, the team will also be looking to update the 2015 bicycle route priority, particularly for routes 6 through 11. Obviously, it's been a significant amount of time since that priority list was put together, so we'll be looking to go back out to the community just to seek input in terms of confirming that list moving forward. Finally, we just have identified a number of risks for consideration. I won't go through each of those, but one main risk we just wanted to point out was in relation to the consultation. We are proposing to go out to consultation simultaneously for routes 1, 2 and 3. So the benefit we see with that is that we'll be able to provide an overview of the linkages of all of those cycleways back to the main north-south spine Route 1 going through the LGA, and that this way we feel that we can identify that on a map and basically create the linkages between the entire route rather than taking each of those cycleways out in isolation, particularly given that all of the concept plans are ready to now go out to the community. Thank you.
I'm going to go to Councillor Gordon, then I'm going to go to Councillor Luxford, then I'm going to go to Councillor Hay. Councillor Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My apologies, I have a number of questions through to the relevant. I'll just go one by one and then let the manager respond. My first question is that noting the minutes of the May 2025 meeting of the Cycleways and Bicycle Facilities Advisory Committee, when all 3 of the council members on the committee, myself included, supported the separation of the Todman Avenue and Lenthal Street projects into 2 separate project items. I just wanted to ask, when we seek council's endorsement at the March meeting for the community consultation, are these 2 projects going to be presented as separate council resolutions?
Through to the Director of City Services.
Through yourself, Mr. Mayor, I can have a look at that resolution of CABFAC. Ultimately, the design has been constructed in accordance with the resolution of council. So we will take a look at that minutes and see if that's practical and come back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My second question is just about the bicycle route priority list. I noticed that the graphics displayed during this item showed the 2015 plan. I note that council has passed the active transport plan 2025, which has some differences with that. I was wondering whether these routes are being constructed to the 2025 plan.
Thank you. Through to the Director of City Services.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just answer that question. That was conducted by the previous Manager of Transport. But the active transport plan had indicative, it was based off the 2015 plan, but it had indicative routes that may be considered in the future. And Eva had just pointed out that we are looking to go back out to consultation, and what essentially will go in consultation is those final routes, and there has been a couple of other routes identified in the active transport plan on top of the 11, so it is all in all consistent with Council's original direction.
Thank you. And one final question, I promise. Would you be able to give an indication in what the concept design will say about the intersection between Todman Avenue and Kensington Road? Specifically, is the roundabout going to be preserved?
Thank you. Through to the relevant officer.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll need to confirm that with the team and can come back to you.
Thank you. Councillor Luxford.
Yeah, so my question is around on page 27 with the risks. And down here we have community concerns, of which I've already been bombarded with several. And in this little blurb here for mitigation, we say that their feedback, being, you know, whoever puts in their submissions, will be reviewed, considered and incorporated where possible. Design will incorporate lessons learned from previous projects. But this bit we're here where we say and incorporated where possible. Does this mean that the residents will be ignored like they were in Doncaster Avenue yet again?
To the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor, no.
Thank you. Councillor Hay. That's all right. Councillor Hay, could you put your microphone on?
Thank you. We may, with reference to the image on page 24 of the slides, Route 2, we may one day extend the light rail to at least Maroubra Junction along the median strip of Anzac Parade. Why would we put the bicycle path in a location that would block that extension?
Through to the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr Mayor, there's no resolution yet or notification to, I suppose, to us as council officers that the light rail will be going through that particular corridor. We understand that there is a possibility in the future, but the previous resolution of council was for staff to look at this particular route from the juniors to Maroubra Junction specifically. So we're just enacting that resolution.
Follow-up question, in that, would it be possible to contact various people at TFNSW and work out a likely route for the light rail and design this path around that a potential future path for the light rail so it doesn't clash?
Through to the relevant officer.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the project being funded by Transport for New South Wales, and as with all of our cycleways, the design's being developed in consultation with Transport for New South Wales. So yes, we will follow up with Transport.
Okay, thank you.
I've got two more questions. We have a functional bicycle lane on Todman Avenue. If we are moving to a new design, that's in reference to the image on page 25, Route 3, if we are moving to a new design, will we at any point lose a lane of traffic or a parking space?
Through to the relevant officer.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I just need to confirm with the team in terms of the specific parking impacts, but in terms of balancing parking and I guess getting the cycleways through is always a consideration during design, but I can come back to you in terms of specific parking impacts.
Okay. And what are the plans for Lenthal Street, and is it likely that Lenthal Street will become one-way?
Through to the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr Mayor, there's another resolution of council outstanding that looks to work with Transport for New South Wales and our neighbouring councils on the potential one-way as per the council resolution for Lenthal. We're still in the process of following that up. I do believe we may have now a response from either Transport or our neighbouring council on the proposal as per the resolution. So we'll take that on notice, and I'll come back to you with a status update specifically on the one-way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Councillor Luxon.
Yeah, I've got my hand up.
Oh, sorry. So I've got a councillor's head. Sorry, Danny. You're very
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Visibly, it's quite hard for me to see you, so just call out if you do. Councillor
Sure.
said,
And you can hear me okay, yeah?
yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. I know this is in the previous term, but Todman Avenue was dropped from the whole plan because the previous manager told us that you couldn't have roundabouts when you had bike tracks. So Todman was dropped, and that was at the same time the roundabouts were removed from Houston and Doncaster. But I've noticed there is a drawing about the roundabout staying, but I remember he was emphatic that you couldn't do it. So I've got two questions. That's the first one. So definitely Todman now can be done with the, as Councillor Gordon said, with the roundabout, or is there funding coming back for that? Because I remember it was completely taken out of the whole plan because it couldn't be done.
Through to the relevant
According
officer.
to the last manager.
Yep, through to the relevant officer.
Sorry, thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillor said you're correct. In the previous term, I think it was Council, what we were looking at, there was grant funding available for pop-up cycleways. What we determined for investigation that a pop-up cycleway along Todman wasn't possible. The design or specifications of pop-ups that we still have at High Street down here next to the university, due to the infrastructure issues, you actually had to make a permanent cycleway, intervene with curb and gutter and footpaths to make a cycleway work. So the pop-up wasn't feasible at that particular time. Hence the more permanent cycleway solution, where we are looking to change infrastructure to get a route, a cycleway route in. And there was a second question on funding, I believe. Oh, sorry, roundabout. Sorry, first, and there was a second question on funding. I'll get Councillor to clarify.
Councillor said, could you please clarify your question?
On the second question?
Just the funding.
Yes.
On
funding,
question.
Yeah, because when Doncaster, at the time that Doncaster started, it was meant to be Doncaster, Houston and Sturt were going to be done at the same time. That's when they removed the roundabouts. And then I think Doncaster cost so much that the state government pulled the money, or Transport for New South Wales pulled their money. If we go back to part 4 and we start to rebuild it, will that come out of the same funding, or do we have to ask for a new grant, or do we pay for it ourselves?
Thank you. Through to the Director of City Services.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the clarification, Mr Mayor. And Councillor said we'd be looking to seek support with funding from the government to complete stage 3. What the funding, as Eva had mentioned, that has been provided so far is just to finalise the design. So I dare say the government understands that the project, should council choose to proceed, would be shovel ready. And in the event of that going back in, or since the time of the last Section 1 and Section 2 being constructed, Transport for New South Wales have changed their specifications in relation to roundabouts and cycleways. So when they constructed route part 1 and 2, cycleways weren't part of a cycleway specification. They are now changed, and we utilise that change from Transport to get Doncaster and Ascot roundabout back in. And those design changes have been included in the remaining Route 3, so we can have a safe roundabout intersection with a cycleway now. But that'll all come back to Council for consideration. This report that Eva alluded to coming next in March is just to seek out a community consultation.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Councillor Hay. Oh, before I do that, Councillor Luxford, did you have a question? Okay, Councillor Hay.
Ms. Huffington, you mentioned that the Bundock Sturt and Avoca intersection, we're seeking funding. Is it possible to complete the intersection there without building the cycleway?
Through you, Mr Mayor.
Sorry, by that I mean the traffic lights at the intersection, yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
So yes, we do have construction funding already for that intersection upgrade, and yes, it can be built independent of the rest of the cycleway.
Thank you. So before I go to Councillor Luxford, while it can be built, my question is, while it can be built independent, has the funding been provided for a particular purpose, and is it attached to the cycleway?
Yeah, thank you. Through yourself, Mr Mayor, the funding is from a cycleway funding source, but yeah, from a constructability perspective, it can be constructed in isolation, but I do believe the merit of the grant was to be part of the cycleway.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Luxford?
When will we actually see the design for Lenthal Street? Is that going to be in the March? Okay, so we don't have it now to look at. Only this little bit here on Lenthal, yeah? On Todman, rather.
Through to the manager.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Yes, so the concept plans for each of the, so cycleways 1, 2 and 3 will be included as an attachment to the report that is coming to council.
Great, thank you. Councillor Luxon.
Okay, so I've had several emails through this week regarding the cycleways. My question is, why do we like to create angst amongst our residents and scare them and frighten them with things that affect their everyday life, like these cycleways are already affecting Todman Avenue as it is down at the lower end, and now we want to create more angst and more horror for our residents. Why do we like to do such things?
To the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr Mayor. Council officers have been working on the follow-up of that bicycle construction priority list from 2015 that Eva had mentioned was adopted by council. When we put these matters to council with all the designs and seeking the ability to go out to communal consultation to test the sentiment and the concerns of the community, when we report that back to council, ultimately be a matter for council to decide with that data and that information, should we choose to proceed with any of those routes or not.
Through to Councillor Luxon.
So if the sentiment of the residents is that they don't want the cycleway on Lenthal Street, will we then presume that it won't proceed?
To the Director of City Services, to the best of what you can provide.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. That's a matter for council to decide.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? There being no further questions, could I please have somebody move that it be read and noted? Thank you, and I'll put it. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Councillors, do we want to have a short 2-minute break? Thank you. For those who are listening online, we're just having a 2-minute adjournment. Thank you. That's everyone. Thank you. Before we restart, Councillor said, can I just check you're online?
Yeah,
All right.
definitely. Yeah,
Thank
all
you.
good.
I now restart the Governance Advisory Committee at 7:44. Thank you. Can I please have somebody move the recommendation on the business paper for the GAC 7/26? Moved Councillor Burst, seconded by Councillor Veach, that it be read and noted. Before I throw to the Chief Financial Officer, big thumbs up. Thank you. Could you please elaborate on your report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councillors. The purpose of tonight's presentation is to provide you with an update to the council's draft long-term financial plan. At our last Governance Advisory Committee, we focused on the annual budget. The long-term financial plan is an extension of this, and it goes for 10 years. It provides council with the comfort and the assurance that we can maintain our services, maintain our infrastructure, and maintain our financial risks for the longer term. The long-term financial plan presented tonight is financially sustainable. It meets the council's financial management objectives and also meets the Office of Local Government benchmarks. It's important to note any changes in our draft budget for 26-27 will have an impact on the long-term financial plan. So any new proposals, any expanded services must be considered not only for the 26-27 period, but also the ongoing impact on the council's longer-term position. So today's agenda covers a number of topics. We'll start off with our financial management objectives as they provide the framework and tone on how we approach the plan. We'll step through the key assumptions used over the 10-year period, and we'll provide a high-level overview of our financial projections. We'll touch on the risk and sensitivity analysis on some key revenue, key expenditure items as part of the council's broader risk management framework. And we'll explore the council's financial sustainability against Office of Local Government benchmarks, and we'll outline our proposed next steps. These are the financial management objectives that underpin our long-term financial plan. In achieving these objectives, they're very similar to our budget. We must ensure that we have a fully funded and balanced budget. There is appropriate monitoring, management and funding of our reserves, both internal and external, and we must meet our Office of Local Government benchmarks. A key part of this as well is that we identify our financial risks and we have the appropriate mitigation strategy in place to ensure that they're at a satisfactory level. Now, whilst the LTFP is required by legislation, it really serves as quite an important tool for council as it looks at how we plan for our revenues, how we plan for our expenditure, how we plan for our depreciation, how we plan for our capital investment, our service demand and also our debt repayments. So that's really important over the next 5 to 10 years. So this is a little bit small, but it's also in the books. Once we ascertain our economic assumptions for the annual budget, which is really set for one single year, we extend these assumptions further out for another 10 years. These economic assumptions you see on your screen are informed by a mix of external sources, whether it's Reserve Bank of Australia, Australian Bureau of Statistics, publications, our investment advisors, but also by our officers of the council and benchmarking for other councils. We look at reasonableness over that period of time. So some key observations in our assumptions is that CPI is expected to moderate over the next couple of years and move towards the RBA's target range around 2 to 3%. The rate peg, which is influenced by CPI, the award and other factors, will trend back to the longer term average around 3%. Domestic waste services reflect likely supply escalations. They will reflect remedial programs and our plant and fleet replacements. So it's really important to note when you're planning for 10 years, as time extends, predicting these economic assumptions get harder and harder and harder. And the accuracy of these assumptions get looser and looser and looser. So to mitigate these factors, the long-term financial plan is done every single year. And we also conduct sensitivity analysis as a risk mitigation tool to test our robustness of our assumptions. This slide shows the projected income statement over 10 years. It shows 5 years because if I put 10 years on there, it's going to be even smaller. But for a 5-year period, what you can see is the cumulative impact of all our assumptions in place. This includes the rate peg, user fees and charges, employee costs, materials and contracts, our debt and capital profiles. As you can see, over the 5 to 10 year period, the Council continues to maintain a positive operating contribution before capital grants. The strong point out of this is that what you see is that day-to-day services are being funded by ongoing revenues rather than one-off sources, which is a good sign of financial sustainability. While both income and expenditure grow over time, these projections do show that the Council can absorb known cost pressures with modest contingencies built in for minor variations in costs, demand and economic conditions. So looking at sensitivity analysis in terms of the LTFB, on this side here, we look at the award, which is one of the Council's largest expenditure categories. So in this case, we test a small change in 25 basis points increase in the award above the base assumption. The impact on net operating result over a 10-year period is shown on this slide. In every single year from year 1 to year 10, it is still positive. In the early years, you'll see that the change in the impact is actually quite modest. And as time progresses, the differences compound and the gap becomes quite noticeable. And that's the compounding factor that you have. The key takeaway out of all of this is that the Council can manage minor variations in the award outcome. It reinforces that the impact of employee costs is extremely important because of its large nature and because of the percentage in time. So this must be monitored not only for the short term, but also the medium term and the longer term. Now, we've also done another sensitivity analysis on the rate peg, as that is very, very important for our revenue stream. So this is a sample of a 25 basis point decrease in our rate peg. And it's very similar to an award scenario. As the years progress, the impact compounds. It gets larger and larger. And it reduces the Council's operating capacity and flexibility over time. But what you do see is that the operating contribution is still quite healthy. So overall, our assumptions demonstrate, and the scenarios demonstrate, the Council is quite resilient to minor variations in its revenues and its costs. The key takeaway here is being aware, and that's the purpose of long-term plan. By monitoring these drivers and being very, very disciplined on our ongoing commitments, the Council can manage its risk profile. Another indicator of financial sustainability is the Council meeting Office of Local Government benchmarks, and we did a very similar exercise with the budgeting. These indicators are an independent check on our financial performance, our liquidity and asset management. Every year from year 1 to year 10, we meet minimum benchmarks. The results on the slide indicate that over a 10-year period, our finances are stable and are financially healthy over the planning period. So from here, The long-term financial plan will be reviewed alongside with the draft annual budget, with final adoption in the June council meeting. In summary, the draft LTFP demonstrates that the council remains financially sustainable over the longer term. It aligns to legislative requirements and the council's financial management objectives. Whilst risks still remain, in particular with some revenue and some cost assumptions, the plan does indicate the council has some capacity to manage these risks with a disciplinary framework. I look forward to further councillor feedback as we move forward to next stages of review. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Do we have any questions? I have a question from Councillor Gordon. Any others? Councillor Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to the relevant officer. The sensitivity analysis regarding the changes to the rate peg. Acknowledging that the IPART calculates the rate peg based on a number of factors, but one being the base cost increase, which basically, I believe it amounts to something similar to CPI. Does the sensitivity analysis include changes to CPI, or is this a base 0.25% decrease in the expected peg with no effect on CPI?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council conducts a number of sensitivity analysis, not only with the rate peg, the award, but all major assumptions that we have in terms of the long-term financial plan. We do sensitivity analysis specifically with CPI, and in all those scenarios, the council still remains financially sustainable. We haven't chosen this to show on the screen because it is a smaller balance than the award.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Councillor Wellington.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, sorry. I'll go to Councillor Wellington, then I'll go to you, Councillor Sid.
Sure.
Thank you very much, and very well presented and possible even for me to follow, so thank you. Have you done any modelling about insurance costs for council? In the 10 years that we are looking forward to, it is quite possible the risks of extreme climate events are very likely, and with increasing climate events, insurance companies are becoming more and more risk averse and increasing their premiums. What would happen to council if in a 10-year time frame the council premiums went up considerably?
Mm-hmm.
Through to the Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In forming our long-term financial plan, we consult with a number of internal and external advisors. One of those advisors is our insurance advisor, and we've taken their 5-year plan on how insurance would look like for the council, and that's been factored into the long-term financial plan.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Councillor Magnan.
Okay.
Sorry, I apologise. Councillor Sid. Councillor Sid.
Just I know this comes into fruition in July, but the current unfortunate circumstances of inflation, costs of living, the petrol, diesel, etc., have gone up. How long do you need for that to sort of dissipate before July for all this to come through? Do you have to start factoring in that it may be a long-term effect, like especially with petrol and diesel, and then our fees would have to go up on parks, our fees would have to go up in entry into Des Redford. We might have to. You need to factor in a whole new scale for year one instead of 2.95%.
Through to the Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's 2 points to this. So the first point is there's a lot of geopolitical tensions over the last week. Anything that is short duration won't have material impact on the council. Anything with a longer duration will have an end of material impact. It has to be factored into the council's plans. Now, the first action that council will take is look at internal efficiencies to see if that could be offset. If that can't be offset, it will be presented to council for approval in the quarterly budget review cycle. In terms of looking at CPI, looking at investment returns and other assumptions, we're guided by the Reserve Bank of Australia and Australian Bureau of Statistics, which have their long-term plans, and they're much more informed about what's happening in the world. So we take two approaches. One approach which is direct, what we can control through our procurement and also through our policies, but also indirect through the assumptions we make through external parties and external professionals.
Through to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Wellington. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Councillor Magna, tired.
Thanks, Mr. Wong. Just curious about the capital works schedule and that detailed part of the budget. When can we expect to see some detail coming before council in relation to that?
To the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr Mayor, we're now finalising the new updated 4-year capital work companion, as we referred to it last year, which will be provided to councils at the coming workshop. So you'll have the 4-year program for each asset class and further information for each project as well in that coming imminently to council.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Before I let you go, I have one. Could you just run through the timing of the determination of the rate peg and the award, and in what sequence they're actually set?
So the rate peg was announced last year, around September. The award will be announced around June this year.
Okay. Thank you. There's quite a difference between the two.
Yes, there is.
All right. Thank you. Are there any further questions? There being no further questions, I'll now put the report. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. There being no further business on the Governance Advisory Committee for the 10th of March, I declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much, councillors.